This is Southern Cross News with Rachel Williams.
Good evening, everyone. The flow-on effects from Jackie Lambie's shock resignation from the Senate are expected to continue for months. Devonport Mayor Steve Martin announced today he will put up his hand to take Ms Lambie's seat, despite concerns he may be ineligible. If he does end up in Canberra, it will create a council by-election.
This could be Tasmania's newest senator. Devonport Mayor Steve Martin confirming he will attempt to replace Jackie Lambie and represent her network in the upper house.
After consulting with my family, I'm comfortable with my decision to fill the Senate vacancy should I be eligible.
But whether he is eligible still remains up in the air. Concerns have been raised that being mayor could make him ineligible if the position classifies as holding an office of profit under the Crown. Legal advice addressed to Ms Lambie last year from the Clerk of the Senate states, "In my view, it is unlikely that the office of councillor, including the office of mayor, would be found to be an office of profit. This is because councillors are elected by the electors. They are not appointed by the executive government."
I think that's sound enough legal advice to go forward.
But Liberal Senator Erica Betts doesn't.
Do I know the answer? No. Does anybody know the answer? Only one group, and that is the High Court of Australia. If he has nothing to fear, he should submit his name to the High Court for this matter to be determined.
In reality, there's a huge cost to do it yourself, and I'm afraid even as a mayor, I haven't got that type of money of $15,000 a day.
Absent from today's announcement, Ms Lambie instead put out a statement saying she's pleased Alderman Martin wants to fill the vacancy, and she will now turn her attention to running candidates in the March state election.
Jackie's work in the Senate has been nothing short of amazing. She has fought tirelessly for Tasmanian and for Tasmanians.
Jackie Lambie, I hope she gets back in future. She's very good.
Do you think Steve Martin would be good for Tasmania?
Yes.
Well, he's doing a good job at the moment, so he should be all right, yeah.
I guess he's as good as anyone, yeah.
He's been really good on the council in Devonport.
If Steve Martin does end up joining the Senate, it would cause a Devonport City Council by-election. 3 aldermen, including Deputy Mayor Annette Rockcliffe, have indicated they would like to be mayor. But Steve Martin isn't resigning just yet.
I have commitments that I want to honour, and I'll be working right through into the stage where the High Court says I'm eligible or ineligible, then work on the timetable from there.
He hopes the matter will be sorted by Christmas. Monica Dadson at Southern Cross News.
Launceston's Deputy Mayor has walked away from court with a $65 fine after using a carriage service to harass another person. Robert Soward appeared at Launceston's Magistrate Court accused of using a woman's work email to inquire about tummy tucks, teeth whitening and other cosmetic procedures. Our reporter Rita Risk has more.
The court heard the offences took place between May 26 and July 4 last year, where the woman received more than 100 unwanted communications from businesses. Tim Ellis, Soward's lawyer, told the court he admits his actions were childish, but remains firm his motive was payback. He said he thought the woman had done the exact same thing to him last year when their friendship of 20 years fell through. The court heard he received emails about sexually transmitted disease treatments. Mr Ellis said Soward did not intend to cause fear and was regretful. He said Soward had been vilified over the charges and his employment with an education provider was at risk. Commonwealth prosecutor Pat Doyle told the court the emails were mostly around double chin and fat transfer surgery. Mr Doyle said the woman thought it was a prank at first before starting to feel unsafe. Reports were made to the police. They searched his home and found his IP address connected to the emails. The 48-year-old has no prior convictions.
Oh, look, obviously it's extremely disappointing that the Deputy Mayor has been obviously pleaded guilty and that he has done an offence which he's very sorry for and with something which obviously he would wish he hadn't have done. I must say that has no reflection, I believe, on the Launceston City Council.
In handing down the sentence, Magistrate Simon Brown took into consideration his guilty plea. He said Soward had suffered a great deal of negative publicity and criticism within the community. He said he was unlikely to reoffend. All charges have been dismissed. Rita Risk, Southern Cross News.
Tasmanian salmon giant Tassal is taking a major step towards offshore fish farming, with plans to destock one of its most contentious leases. The tinderbox lease in the D'Entrecasteaux Channel is expected to retire by Christmas, pending the success of an expansion in Storm Bay.
After more than 2 decades, the lease at Tinderbox is set to retire, one of the larger commercial fish farming leases in the D'Entrecasteaux Channel, to be completely destocked by Christmas. But it's hanging on the success of the proposed Storm Bay project.
For us to actually retire leases and maintain our plans, we do need the Storm Bay lease to be successful.
The project, known as West of Wedge, is 10 kilometres off Newbina, the offshore farm hoping to pave a new way forward for the salmon giant after a tough 12 months of community backlash.
Maybe one day the offshore farming in probably 10 years' time might be able to be 70% of our production.
The offshore pens will be double the size of the pens at Tinderbox to withstand the conditions. Storm Bay set to create 70 jobs for the Tasman Peninsula community, boosting Tassal salmon production by 10,000 tonnes. Environment Tasmania says it's a step in the right direction.
I'd love to be able to stand up and give them a huge congrats for transitioning to offshore farming, but going into an inshore area at the same time as transitioning to offshore farming is just a little bit confusing and conflicting.
The proposal has been reconfigured to ease the concerns of the yachting community. It will be out for consultation this weekend with 60 days for feedback.
It's the kind of consult process that gave us Macquarie Harbour and the environmental disaster there. It's the consult process that gave us Campton Bay, which is hugely contested.
And we just want to, say to the Tasmanian people that we have really learned lessons, and we're comfortable with where we're moving and how we're going, and we think this is a really good sign of that.
Jacqueline Robson, Southern Cross News.
Tasmanian wedding businesses are looking forward to a windfall from the future legalisation of same-sex marriage. But while the vote has delivered its result, the debate is far from over. People on both sides are now turning their attention to proposed legislation and protections for religious freedom.
Chefs at the renowned Sweet Envy are saying "I do" to same-sex marriage. They've done commitment ceremonies before, but now they're preparing their first cake order for an official same-sex wedding.
I think Tina got one yesterday, so that's excellent. That will be our first full one, our first actual wedding cake. It's for next year, which is fabulous.
Tasmania's wedding sector is estimated to be worth around $60 million a year, with more than 2,000 ceremonies. Those figures are now set to increase.
I can see this being 30, 40, 50% or so increase. But notwithstanding, the most important thing is it's the quality.
I reckon probably 25% of my clients are from interstate. Tassie is such a beautiful place and they want to come here to experience the beauty and the love that we all have here.
But while this shop supports same-sex marriage, opponents say other wedding businesses should be able to refuse couples.
We don't think that businesses should be able to say you can't have a birthday party here if you're a gay couple, but if it comes down to a wedding reception, then people's conscientious objection can be involved there.
Under Tasmania's anti-discrimination laws, it's illegal for a business to refuse to serve a customer because of their sexuality.
Whilst the legislation originally may have been well-intentioned, its reach is far too far and is in fact restricting people's fundamental human rights.
But for this baker, the more weddings, the merrier.
I think every venue is going to be packed out. Every cake maker and florist is going to be flat out, and it's going to be brilliant for everybody. That wall is going to be torn down.
Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
Fire crews have spent the afternoon battling a bushfire at the Launceston Gorge. The fire started around 3 p.m. close to the zigzag track. An alert was then issued to nearby residents due to the large amount of smoke. The Tasmania Fire Service says there is no current threat to properties, but those in the area are urged to be on alert with a fire plan in place should conditions change. Hundreds of Bandidos Motorcycle Club members have started descending on Tasmania ahead of the group's national run next weekend. Tasmania Police says the gang is not welcome in the state and officers will closely monitor members while they're here.
The Bandidos essentially don't have a presence really to speak of in Tasmania, so by them coming down it is concerning that they may be trying to recruit.
The club currently has a chapter in East Devonport. Police believe supporter groups have also formed in Launceston and Hobart. The Bandidos run comes only a month after the Rebels Motorcycle Club's national run was also held in Tasmania. A man has been charged after returning a breath test of 0.156 more than 3 times over the legal limit. Tasmania Police says he was supervising a learner driver at the time. The L-plater was caught travelling at 107 kilometres an hour in a 90 zone on the Bass Highway near Don and charged with speeding and drink driving. He returned a positive breath test reading of 0.07. The pair were caught as part of Operation Safe Speeds, a 24-hour nationwide operation aiming to increase awareness around the impact of speed. And 2 Australian seafarers are gearing up for a mammoth race, sailing more than 5,000 nautical miles from Melbourne to Japan. As part of their preparation, the all-female crew will take on Tasmania's rugged east coast as the Maria Island yacht race sets sail.
It's all hands on deck just hours before setting sail for Maria Island, the 180 nautical mile race up the east coast of Tasmania, part of a bigger plan for 2 brave yachties.
While we certainly are going to be going out there and giving it our best, the result is less important than the greater goal for us.
Joe and Joanna have their sights set on Japan, a marathon race leaving from Melbourne to travel 5,500 nautical miles to Osaka. Tonight, the first test ahead of next year's challenge.
This is our first big shakedown cruise. So we've had about 12 months of a major refit on the boat, and this is going to be the first time that we really put it all to the test.
It's going to be quite different than racing with a crew or with a male partner. I'm partly terrified and partly really looking forward to it. So,
in a major coup, they'll be the first all-women crew in the Maria Island yacht race, sailing in the smallest boat. Conditions on the 70th anniversary expected to be favourable.
I think it'll be a good shakedown. I think we'll do well, have our moments, but it'll be good. It's always good to frighten the boys.
Crews will take off at 7 tonight. Jacqueline Robson, Southern Cross News.
Coles is facing charges for importing restricted material into Tasmania. The supermarket giant is alleged to have imported more than 400 jars containing honeycomb or raw beeswax on several occasions earlier this year. Biosecurity Tasmania lists the items as prohibited from entering Tasmania because of the risk of small hive beetle. In the Magistrates Court today, Coles didn't enter a plea, with the matter adjourned until next March. Tasmania's Australian of the Year has been revealed as a charity leader and champion of the arts. Scott Rankin from Boat Harbour was recognised for his contribution to our community. He's the co-founder of Big Heart, a charity that uses the arts to promote social justice. Others recognised include Tony Shearer for sustainable farming, Dr Jessica Manuela's efforts for oral health, and the local hero is breast cancer fundraiser Judy Adams. They'll go on to represent Tasmania at the Australian of the Year Awards. Dozens of children across Launceston have had their artworks put on display in a public gallery, giving them an opportunity to engage in the arts. More than 100 artworks are paraded at the Queen Victoria Art Gallery Cafe, with some work by children as young as 5.
It's an excellent way to get the kids engaged with us. It's also an awesome opportunity for them to have their work shown on a big art gallery's walls. Not very many artists get to say that they've displayed with us, so these kids now get to put on their resume that they've displayed at QV Mag.
The exhibition will run until June next year. St Vincent de Paul have today launched its Christmas appeal and is calling for people to donate food, toys, general Christmas items and toiletries. National CEO Dr John Fowson says there's a great sense of pressure and sadness for households doing it tough during Christmas.
Everyone needs help from everyone else. Vinnie's is just one way, a beautiful way of
enabling this help for each other, and I thank the people of Tasmania for supporting us so warmly.
The items will be distributed by volunteers before Christmas. Now a look at business and finance with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The share market has closed higher, boosted by gains for the major banks, healthcare stocks and the IT sector. The ASX 200 index has risen by 13.8 points. And a short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 75.69 US cents and 64.07 euro cents.
Good evening. Hobart 24 degrees today, Launceston 27, and along with Strawn, the warmest population centre around the state. Burnie 21, Devonport a high of 23. Temperatures above average today and no significant rain after the early drizzle patches over the southeast. Bushy Park 26 degrees, Scottsdale 25, Flinders Island 24, Grovehead 23, St Helens and Friendly Beaches 22 today, Wynyard 21, Low Head and King Island a top of 20. Cloud is spiralling around a low over the southeast of Australia. Plenty of that there just to the north-west of Tasmania too. Low convective cloud over the coastal fringes of the northern part of the mainland. Also thunderstorms produce patchy cloud over the north of the nation as well. On the close-up picture we see the cloud brewing there, not much over the western part of Tasmania, but we do have a little bit moving off the east coast. Tomorrow the cold front moves over Western Australia as the high pressure system dominates over our region. The winds north-northeasterly 15 to 25 knots over the east coast, up to 25 knots and easterly over northern waters. Lighter, more variable winds inland and over the west coast. Strong wind warning for waters from Sandy Cape to Stanley. For tomorrow, partly cloudy in Hobart, up to 27 degrees though. A possible shower developing for Medina, 26, 25 the top for Oatlands, and partly cloudy. Of course, up in the hills tomorrow at Bothwell, all roads are leading to Bothwell. Well, 3 roads lead to Bothwell. For the Bushfest, the Highland Bushfest, 352 metres above sea level. Should be all sorts of shenanigans going on up there. Back to the forecast. Launceston cloudy and 26, 21 for Devonport with a morning shower, 19 the top for Lyowini with a shower or two. Showers easing from Burnie, 21 the high, 27 for Strawn and mostly sunny. Marrawar a morning shower and 21 degrees. Shower or two clearing from St Helens, 21 the top, 24 for Swansea and partly cloudy, bit of cloud for Orford and 22. UV again, very high. On Sunday, light morning showers over the north with the chance of a shower over the southwest later in the day. Fine and mostly sunny on Monday and mild conditions again on Tuesday with an afternoon sea breeze. Another morning storm forecast for Perth tomorrow, an afternoon shower or storm in Melbourne. Showers also for Canberra, Sydney and at times in Brisbane. 22 right now and clear in Hobart, partly cloudy in Launceston, same number, and 20 degrees currently in Devonport. We wish all the best to those heading up the hill, Mount Wellington for the Point to Pinnacle. And Rachel, you've decided to pull out. What's the matter?
I know, I have a chest infection. I feel a bit terrible. I feel like I'll have to do it next year. Thanks, Merv. Well, that's all your news for now. Thanks for joining us. I look forward to your company over the weekend. Good night.